Okay, so let's start off here. First of all, so you said that you're new to jungle, right, Disciple?
Yes, sir.
Like hella new. Okay. So do you know what characters in Fault are junglers? Like, do you know by any chance? Like
I
when you're
know
looking at all the
Chimera
characters?
for sure. I know Chimera
Okay.
for sure is jungle because he's always ganking me in the mid lane.
True. True. Um, any others?
um, Boris. I know you can play Boris in the jungle and Sev,
True.
and then other than that, oh, and Countess. You can probably Countess in the jungle too as well. And other than that, no, I don't know anybody else.
Got you. So the reason why I bring it up is because theoretically you can jungle with anybody, but that doesn't mean they're the optimal person to jungle with. It really depends on the scenario. It depends on your team, which are like the first thing that we're going to talk about is just like the actual hero selection. Like when you go in, let's say you're playing jungler and you're trying to choose who am I going to jungle with. Now, there's a couple things that you want to consider, but the main decision making, at least for me, and I'm going to have Cake kind of put his 2 cents after I said this. For me, it's definitely just your team composition. If you look at your team and you're like, hey, these are all squishy ass people. At that point, I might be like, you know what? Let me go ahead and grab a jungler that's a little bit tankier. Let me be Grux. Let me be Steel. Let me build Tank Chimera so I can be on the front line a lot. You know what I mean? Or if I have a team that, for example, if I got a Steel support and then I got a Severog in solo lane, at that point, I could be like, you know what? We can actually afford having a little bit of damage here. That's when you see some people, okay, so I might go Countess jungle, or I might throw in there, you know, like a little bit of damage Chimera, or Boris, which is like a bruiser normally, a little bit of damage, a little bit of tank. So
Yeah.
You
I
also
would
have
say
Kalari as of recent.
yes, Kalari as of recent, and she's basically just glass cannon. Like she's gonna melt you as fast as possible, but she's got a lot of mobility. But you can really like if you go Kalari and your team doesn't have any tanks, your team is at a disadvantage. Yeah, because you're all squishy as shit. You get what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So it really, really comes down to the fact that like the first strategic part of jungling, it literally comes in hero selection. Did you want to add anything there, Kick?
I would just say if you're in the draft and say you're the first pick and you're trying to jungle, you can always type in chat and say what role, like pick the characters you guys are wanting to play, or try to get the dialogue going for people to pre-select the characters they want to be. That way you have an idea of what the draft's going to be. Otherwise, if you're the first pick, you don't really know what your team needs yet because you haven't seen anything. So something as simple as, hey, offlaner, who are you going? Could be huge because they could be an offlane Countess or they could be an offlane Severog. And what that comp brings, or what he brings as an offlaner to the team, is very different. And just
True.
a simple thing in chat is a good thing.
You'd be
If for some reason
surprised.
they don't reply, I would look to play safe and maybe pick one of the hybrid characters. Like you can play Chimera with damage and tank, or you can play like a Grux with a lot of damage or a lot of tank. Those types of characters can be built both ways, and then you can adjust on the fly that way.
Gotcha.
And you'd be
Okay.
surprised. Like sometimes in the chat, you could honestly just tell people, be like, hey, I'm building Chimera full tank. And then that'll affect their picks. Or if you say off rip, hey, I'm going full damage Chimera. Then people are going to be like, yo, this guy's going full damage Chimera. I need to be the tank then, or something like that.
Yeah.
So you can help influence their picks if you are the first one too.
Okay. When choosing your heroes, do you know off the rip which ones are like more tankier than the other ones, or is it just like
Yeah. So
basically?
if you go to playfault.com and you go down to the roster section, they have a list of all the characters, which I'm showing here on the screen. You can click on the individual characters and see their base stats. You know, like for example, Boris has, 32 ability defense, 34 basic attack defense, 575 health. The reason why I bring that up is, let's say like the 32, 34, let's click on Steel now. See, 28 ability defense, 34 basic attack defense. So you already got to be mindful there that if you're playing Steel, you're going to be a little bit weaker to abilities, at least in the beginning, until you start building. You get what I'm saying there? Sometimes just going into the website and just analyzing some of these little details and memorizing them, which is just going to come with time, game sense, and stuff like that, can actually put you at an advantage. Like if you see they have a lot of casters on their team, a steel might be a great character, but you might suffer a little bit earlier because they have that many casters, unless you start building ability armor first to compensate. You see how all those little things start kind of adding up and start making an influence as far as long term goes?
Yes.
Now,
this stuff is also in the game now too. So there's a tab on Fault itself that you can click and you can see.
Oh, that's
stuff.
true.
You don't
That's
want to
true.
go to my website.
They did add it. That's true. Like they added a learning tab up there that you can click on and it'll tell you. Now, I know it tells you all the abilities, but I'm not 100% sure if it actually tells you the base stats. Is the reason why I was saying the website. Does it?
Yep.
Okay. Bet. So if anything, you can use on the game as well. But it definitely is one of those things that it's just nice to be mindful of when you're picking. But that's just something that will get better as time goes on. But like Kick said, if it's one of those things that you're still learning, going with a little bit of a safer pick, it isn't a bad idea. Like, for example, Chimera already has base, higher ability and basic defense. And he has that regen. So he's a very new player friendly jungler. But it is one of those things that you just got to learn how to play with the character that you're choosing, because every character is going to have their own drawbacks. And we're going to go into like a little bit of how to make it easier here. Which actually,
whether you have a tank or a damage character too large, more so depends on the build as well.
True.
The items that you select to buy, a lot of times can have a bigger impact on how tanky or how much damage you do than the character itself right now.
That's a good point. Because you could be at the beginning of, let's say, like, for example, Steel, we just saw has a little bit less ability armor. But as soon as you buy, like, let's say the green boots, you just equip ability armor that's going to give you plenty of ability armor, probably for the first 10-15 minutes of the game, to be honest. So it really is one of those things that sometimes, like Kick said, you probably shouldn't only go based off of this. Just be mindful of how that can scale as the later game goes. But your build path and what items you decide to put in what order usually do have a bigger effect. That's true. Let's go ahead and go on to the next subject here. Okay.
Yeah, so next we're gonna talk about Storm Q, and that's just the jungle item that you start with. It's called Affliction at level 1, and we're gonna talk about why you use it and the damage scaling it has.
Gotcha.
Now,
so this is like the first item you're gonna want to purchase
always
in the store.
Yep.
Always, as a jungler. This is your go-to, your bread and butter. You do not play a game without this item, basically. That's what it comes down to. Storm Quiver. Now,
let me write this shit down.
Now, here's the reason why I have Storm Quiver pulled up. Because Affliction is the first item that you go into Storm Quiver, right? It's only 350. Like, you're going to be able to grab Affliction and like a health pod and stuff like that, right? Now, have you ever seen this item in the game, or have you ever actually used it by any chance?
No, never, ever.
Okay, gotcha.
Well, no.
No, you're good. So, okay, so long story short, what Affliction does is basically in the mobile world, we call this a smite. What that means is it's basically an extra damage burst towards an jungle minion that also gives you health back. So imagine you're just sitting there, you're hitting the minions, you're getting lower on health, you use your smite, you kill the minion. Instead of hitting it 3 or 4 more times, the smite just killed that minion like that, because it has a nice amount of damage to it, and it gives you health back, which allows you to stay alive, which allows you to jungle even more. Because one of the hardest things about the jungle is if you don't have a smite, or Affliction in this case, you're going to come across a situation where you're like, hey, I want to keep jungling, but I might die. I'm hella low. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the Affliction helps you stay in the jungle longer. It helps you jungle faster. And it helps you also solidify objectives. Because think about it like this. Like, let's say like Fangtooth or like Prime. Imagine, like, when like it's getting super low and the enemy can steal it, like they can just come in and basic attack it.
Yeah.
So instead of allowing that opportunity, what you do is you smite it. So let's
There's a clip
say,
on that.
and there is a clip on that actually. So I'm gonna play this clip right here. So the thing about it is, I got it. So the thing about it is, the smite in this game, or affliction, it's one of those things that you're gonna get 375 damage. So there is a flat amount of damage on it, and then you get an extra 25 damage per your level. So as a jungler, one of the most important things to keep a track of is how much damage does your smite do. So like right here, kick is level 14. So literally, you just got to do really quick maths in your head. 14 times 25, that which literally comes out to 350 extra damage, right? So then you got the 375 plus 350. You're looking at what, 725 damage on the smite?
Holy shit, that's a lot of damage.
Yeah, and you got to think about it. Considering if you were going out to a jungle minion and hitting smite, that's basically the full minion. You feel me? That's a free.
The minions in the jungle have 600 health.
Yeah, so that's literally a free minion of farm that you're getting every time you activate it. But it is nice to you can have 2 charges on it, by the way. I don't know if you want to write this down or if you want to just, kind of consider it, because the item will tell you. You can have 2 charges on your smite that accumulate over time. Now, usually it's a good idea to at least keep one of those charges. Here, you can see that Kick is at the battle for Prime, and he still has both of his charges on his Stormquiver. He still has them both, and he used one right there. So after grabbing Prime, if he wants to, he can go to a jungle camp, kill a minion, grab some life back, keep going. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But that definitely...
So, in order
go
to
ahead.
use that smite, he would have to like hit the 1 key, right?
Yep.
Or yeah, wherever he puts it. Exactly. Pressing the number brings up the targeting, and then you left click to confirm it, basically. But be mindful, it does only work on jungle minions. There is a common misconception that also applies to like the actual like lane minions and stuff like that, or people try to use them on lane minions. It's only going to apply to jungle minions. Neutral minions is what they're called, right? So it could be on their jungle, your jungle, Raptors, Prime Pit, basically. But it is a very strong tool, especially when you're helping your team, like in this scenario, capture an objective before the enemy team gets a chance to do it themselves. Now, you start off with Smite at level 1, it'll do 400 damage. At level 18, you'll do 825 damage. So again, quite a bit of damage, especially considering, like, let's say for example right here, he's building full tank. His basic attacks are doing 69 every time he hits the Prime, right?
Yep, I see that. And they hit it with the smite with 846.
Exactly, because think about it. How many basic attacks is he gonna have to do to take 825 healths? The answer is too many. The other team can come in and clear it. So it's a really good way to get your team to solidify objectives while also simultaneously gaining back some health. Because like right there at the end of the fight, he went back to full health just because of that smite. Now, is there anything that you want to add to this, Kit?
Yeah, so I just want to add that I have a smite, and the enemy jungler also has a smite. So if my smite is on cooldown, the enemy jungler could walk up here and use his smite and do that much damage.
And steal it.
Okay.
So that works both ways. That's why in this particular clip, I don't use my Storm Q initially, because there's a 15-second cooldown in between the 2 charges. So if I hit it right here, I wouldn't have time to hit it again before Prime is taken. And I didn't want the other jungler to come up here and use his smite to get the last hit on it.
Yeah, gotcha.
So on the flop side, if somebody's trying to take Raptors on the enemy team, you can come in and maybe try to steal it with your smite, because you do a lot of quick damage.
Would you want to like risk your life to smite it, to steal it from them? Or
all that'll come with time and experience on playing the game.
Yeah,
every situation
want to make the call.
Okay.
But I mean, I will say this though: getting stealing that smite. Like, let's say, let me put it to you this way: let's say you jump in, you die, but you stole the smite. unfortunately you're dead. But now four of your players, I'm sorry, the Orb Prime, four of your players
Benefit,
have Orb Prime.
benefit from that. Yeah.
Whereas if their entire team would have had Orb Prime, they might have been able to end the game. And I actually, interestingly enough, I just saw a statistic yesterday. I was talking with Wild Throw over at Fault Metrics. I saw a statistic, and it actually turns out that close to 70% of people that grab the first prime end up winning the match.
70% of the first team that grabs the prime wins the match.
Exactly, and that's a huge statistic. Like, because not a lot of people realize Prime gives you pushing power. Prime gives you a buff to you, and it gives a buff to the minions. So, basically, if you have Prime going up against the other team, it's like you just got a whole full item equipped. Like, you have a lead, which usually means that you'll win the team fight if you have Prime. Usually means that you can easily grab an inhibitor if you have Prime. So that's why, like, items like Affliction and Storm Quiver, if you decide to upgrade it all the way, definitely make a huge difference in the outcome of a game, especially if you're the jungler. Now, did you want to add anything before we go to the next subject there?
I think that wraps it up. I sent you a Raptor seal if you wanted it. You don't have to. Just since we were talking about it.
Oh, you just sent it right now? Got you. Play it real quick. But look, so in this video footage, this is...
You lost audio.
Supposed to steal it. Can you hear me?
There you are. Yep.
Okay. Look at this. I'll play a little bit of audio here. You just hear me screaming. But now, you notice here how he's literally waiting until that Chimera brings it down. He ults on top of them and then smites it right from the middle of all of them. See, like, he ults in, they all focus on him, and he's like, hey, this Raptor's legit that much health. Because he also considered the fact that his ultimate was going to do damage, so he timed it out. Would you dive in here, like at 1100, I think it was, or something like that, right?
It's pretty close to it, yeah. If you look, I'm watching for my smite was getting off cooldown too here. It was at 800.
See, yeah. And right there.
And then he smited it right there. Bye. Later.
Yeah. And it really is one of those things like...
example.
Yeah, and he puts himself maybe in a predicament here because he is in a 1v3 now. And you see his life starts getting chunked, but those Raptors benefited the entire team. Best case scenario. Yeah, I was about to say, best case scenario, his team rotates and helps him. Worst case scenario, your team just got favor. And you help out your team regardless. You feel me? So it definitely can be is extremely influential. Okay, let's go ahead and move on forward here to the next subject now. Go ahead, Kick.
Next, we're just talking about how to kite the jungle minions to take less damage while you're clearing them. So if you see here, I'm walking in a circular pattern.
Yeah.
Do you know what kiting is, by any chance?
Oh, yeah, it's like training them, like putting them in a train to make them go in the circle.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense.
One
just
hit you at a time.
Exactly.
Instead of all three of them.
Exactly. So,
you played zombies on Call of Duty, right?
Yeah,
yes, I was about to say that's exactly what it is. Yeah.
Make them go in a train. You train the zombies.
You could tell with that train reference 100%. But yeah, man. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. It helps minimize the damage that you're getting from the minions, right? And then simultaneously, it helps. I would say honestly, it probably helps improve your wave clear in the jungle overall. Because for example, like here on Steel, he doesn't have any lifesteal, so he has to minimize as much damage as possible while still clearing. And you see right there how he did smite on one of the minions. I don't know if you actually noticed that, but in the middle of actually killing the minions there, he's gonna smite the one with the most health because it brings that minion's health down and it brings his health up, and it helps him with his jungle clear. And then he moves on forward there to gank the lane.
Sure.
Kiting, I think, is good. While it helps with those types of things, it also helps you get more familiar with how to move your melee champ. If you're new to the game in particular, just learning how to move in a circle around a person is something that's nice to be able to do smoothly. Because there's a lot of times, like, say you're ganking a Bellica. If you kite them just like this, they might miss their knockup on you. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Mhm.
Because it's a lot
True.
harder to hit somebody moving in a circle than standing there smacking you. So
That
I
is-
like
that
it
is
even
true.
whenever I'm playing in the jungle to warm up, essentially clearing those jungle camps. I will say too, whenever you use your smite, don't start with your smite. Whenever you clear your camps, you want to take damage first. That way, whenever you smite, you get health back. If you smite it as soon as you start the camp at full health, you don't gain any health back.
Yeah. You want to make sure. You
Sorry.
want to make sure. No, you're good.
Nate.
You want to make sure that you're maximizing the benefit of the smite, and that's both the damage and getting the health back. You know what I'm saying?
No,
Smiting a
Yeah,
minion, smiting a minion that's one basic attack away, is a waste. Or smiting a minion whenever you're full health
I want to get the
is
one that's
a
like
waste.
close. Okay. So you want
Well,
like the one in the middle?
well, no,
Like,
no,
sort
no.
of
Like
thing?
what I'm saying is, you know how the smite is going to give you health and damage
Yeah.
towards the minion that you target. You want to make sure that you maximize both of those things. The last thing that you want is, wasting a smite on a minion that's already
That's too
one hit
weak.
away. Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's why you see him smite the minion here with the most health. But simultaneously, you don't want to smite. Like, you don't want to just, like, imagine if he would have entered the camp right here. Like, as soon as he went in and smited, he might have not been able to maximize the amount of health that he gets from that smite. You get what I'm saying there?
Probably. Yeah. 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 Absolutely.
Yeah, in a situation where you're full health, let the minions do some damage to you first, and then smite it to get that health back.
Yeah, because then
Exactly.
you're not doing no justice to the
To the benefit
smite
of the
anyway,
item.
because it's supposed to help you. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, on the flop side, if you smite early, then you take damage and you have no way of replenishing that health. Yeah.
Exactly. Then you'll have to waste the heal if you.
Yeah, then you pop a health pot. Yep.
Exactly. And then now you're behind because you popped your health pot, and there's a chance that the enemy jungler has not if you end up in a fight with them. You feel me?
Yep.
Now, is there anything else you want to add on this one?
Recall.
No, do you have any more questions about that in particular on the jungle clear?
No.
Cool.
Is there like I don't know if you guys are gonna get to this, but is there like a
No, go ahead.
specific station where you start in the jungle, like a specific camp in the jungle that you start at, or?
Most people start with the red buff, and then the other people in the lanes can help you take that because it has a lot of health and does a decent amount of damage. After you get the red buff, then you just go and get your white camp.
Okay.
Yeah, and like as you see right here, like you see how he has a red orb on him. This is literally right at the beginning. He's level 1. Like his team helped him grab red, and then as soon as he grabbed red, he clears that one camp just to get his level 2, which you see right here. And then
So this is the guy that I would help with Gideon in the mid lane, right? To get that.
exactly the same way way that mid lane helps helps the jungler get the buff. The same thing if you're the jungler, you get the mid laner or the solo laner or duo or whoever it is to help you get the buff. Exactly.
So on the flop side of that, make sure you use your smite on that red buff whenever it's below 400 HP to make sure that you get that.
Okay.
Yeah, because it is especially with Kalari around. It is a strat now to have a Kalari come by and steal it.
Well, there's also the downfall of if you smite too early, let's say it's at 500 HP and you smite it, your team who's helping you get that red buff weak might accidentally steal your red buff, and then you're in a bad spot.
True.
So at level 1, just use your smite whenever that red buff drops below 400. That's the number to remember at level 1.
Because at level 1 you do 400 damage.
Writing it down.
Gotcha.
Write it down, dude.
Hey, it helps.
It down. 400 smite.
Now, since we're on that conversation, it would be worth mentioning that while you grab that red buff, make sure that you capitalize using it if you can. Because the red buff is going to apply a slow to whoever you hit with a basic attack. So if you
we try to bully or somebody early in the game.
Which I'm pretty sure our next clip is the continuation of this clip.
Is that okay? So
so we're gonna talk about the first gank here. So this is literally what happened directly afterwards. And I have my red buff. I have health.
He's level 2.
And then we go for a gank.
Okay. And you're waiting on the smite to come back as well, right?
See,
I don't need the smite for a gank.
Yeah.
Okay.
The smite doesn't work in the lane.
Okay, so it's just for targeting minions and
in the
objectives
jungle.
only.
Correct. It's just a tool to help you. But as far as the lane, the smite isn't going to do anything. What the
Okay.
reason why he's so helpful here is because of that red buff. Because like let's see here, he's stunned and then the character slowed. He uses his abilities to keep him on his half of the map, and he can't. The enemy can't run away because he's slowed.
Beautiful.
You get me? He's slowed because of that red buff.
Yeah.
So that's why I
Yeah.
mean,
Every time
once
he
you
hits him,
have
it
it,
slows him down.
exactly, which allows you to just catch back up and do more damage. That's why
That's
red buff is
crazy.
so
No wonder
helpful
I'm
on an
like-
early gank.
I can't run away.
Yeah, bro. I'm like, yo, I'm Gideon and I can't get the fuck away from this guy. Like, hello? What's going on here?
Now, that it like for example, you see him gank solo here, but oftentimes you do see a lot of junglers gank mid lane a lot first. You probably seen that playing mid lane a ton, but like literally, like in the first few moments of the game, like as soon as the jungler has that red buff, they're gonna try and capitalize. So usually it's either going to be the outer lane that's closest to red buff, or the mid lane. 9 times out of 10.
Yeah.
You get me?
Yeah. I definitely get you on that one.
So making that decision as the jungler, generally the two things that you have to consider is the person am I ganking, do they have any mobility right now? And then 2, how far away are they from their tower, right? So for this particular gank, can you pause it as soon as it flips back?
Yep.
So do you see the
Yeah, he's way over the
Like here,
middle
like
line.
when he starts walking up to him, he's halfway.
no,
Right.
Keep going back. Keep going back. Like right at the beginning. Yeah. So my instant decision for this right here, do you see how the two Sevs are fighting and the Grim's almost under his T1?
The
Okay.
minimap.
Picking between those two, it would be harder to gank that Grim who's closer to his tower than the Sevarog who's halfway up his lane.
Right.
Correct.
They'll have a lot more time to have to turn around and come back.
Exactly. So those are the type of decisions that I make whenever I have my red buff on who do I want to gank. Whoever's extended enough for me to have time to kill them is good, because I know that I can auto them with my red buff and it slows them down. So while they're trying to walk back to their tower, I'm slowing them so I can stay on them and keep hitting them.
Exactly.
It also is
Yeah,
worth
because that
noting
guy, the mid laner, is just gonna go underneath the tower and just sit there.
because he
And
can
then
get
waste
under
the
his
red
tower
buff.
easier. Correct.
Yeah. Okay, we're learning. We're learning. Here,
Yeah.
boys.
It also is worth
My-
noting that the like right here, the solo laner is incredibly distracted with the other solo laner, right? Like the one's
Like they're
level
just in a
2,
battle.
one's level 1. So right now, this solo laner has the advantage, and he's gonna try and take advantage because he has a higher level. He's got more abilities, right? And that's what you see here. You see him go up, and he's like, "Oh, this is an easy kill for me." But little did he know, he just got ganked for getting too greedy.
Yeah,
Did you-
that
you
which
know-
happens to me a lot.
You notice what he did here? As soon as he was able to slow and apply a stun or whatever,
Like he body blocked him as well. So he couldn't
Exactly.
move forward. He positioned in front of him, and then he had to make him go in another route. And then he used his sliding shield to push him back towards his tower.
Yep.
exactly, like your whole objective is to keep whoever you're ganking, whether it's the middle lane, the duo, keep them away from their tower as much as possible. So
It's so yeah. I want to add to that.
Go ahead.
Do you see like this countess right here? Do you see the blue line in front of her little avatar? It's pretty small, but you see the blue light coming
Yeah,
off
yeah.
of the front of her.
Yeah.
So that's her cone of vision. So whenever you're the jungler, you want to try to get whenever you rotate in that lane out of that cone of vision so you can get behind them.
So that they can't see you coming.
Exactly. So then you can walk up there and start hitting them. If you watch this clip again, the only time he sees me is whenever I cross in front of the minions. So he's fighting. He has no idea. If I walked in front of him, he would have seen me and the
Yeah.
gank would have been worthless.
if he would have walked out of
Yeah, I
here, the
see
right
that,
side
'cause
in
I saw
front,
that I was gonna mention that you kind of angled out a little bit and then came back in towards behind them.
just to make sure that he didn't show up on the map until it was too late. Because you only show up on that mini map when somebody sees you or when a ward sees
Or
you.
there's a word.
Exactly.
Yeah, because then he could hit that his dash and try to evade you out of there if he
Yep.
would have seen you earlier.
Which another benefit of this level 2 gank is that Sevarog probably doesn't have all his abilities, right?
If you see him, he uses a root, so we know he doesn't.
Yeah, like you can see him right here. He used his siphon when he attacked them, and he used his root. See, like look, root, and then he did the siphon right there. He doesn't have his mobility unlocked. A lot of players don't unlock their mobility first. They go for the extra damage so they can win the lane. So that is worth noting too. But yeah. So you anything you want to add on this one, or you want to go ahead and move on to the next one?
No, I mean, is that good for you? Any questions?
You got
on
any
your side?
questions?
No, I don't. I'm good. I'm good.
Cool.
I'm absorbing like a sponge right now.
All right, bet. All right. So in
So
this
here's
one,
an example of just being in the ganks. So while you're the jungler, let's say you're not on comms with everyone, or you are on comms, it's good to ping that you're going to attack the lane so your teammates know what you're going to do.
Yeah, and then they can help you out, and it's not just
yeah,
Exactly.
you.
they can
going in
position
there and-
themselves. Because like, look here for example, you see, like right there, the Bellica saying "careful left lane retreat." She's looking out for the side lane, but then he's like Kick here. He says attack mid lane. Now she's pushed up to her tower. The Countess is right there. She might have not fought that, or probably wouldn't have been ready for that fight if he hadn't said attack mid lane. You get me?
She probably would have been retreating or something.
Yeah, she's half health, you know. She doesn't really want to step up into the Countess, but she knows I'm coming, so she's getting ready for that knock up that you see right there.
That one that stunned her for you to get her
More damage. Yep.
Yeah.
This is
I
another
wanna
very
note
good
too-
example of level 2 gank. Go.
For Chimera, notice how I didn't use my jump first. Don't use your
True.
jump unless you have to. So if you
Okay.
watch, I could easily use my jump here, and that's why I included the Kalari here in this clip. I don't jump on her, I walk up to her. I use my Q for the attack speed, and I just attack.
Same thing he did with Steel.
Q is attack speed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's the same thing he did
And
with
then
Steel. You
not
notice with
using that
Steel.
jump lets me jump here.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, you notice with Steel, he didn't dash in. He just walked up and saved his dash to help him. Like as a jungler, always keep that mobility of yours in case you need it down the road. Like unless you absolutely need it, don't just waste it to start a fight.
The biggest mistake that people make with Chimera is they get that jump. And as soon as they see someone they can jump on, they're like, and they use the jump.
That jump, yeah.
And then whoever it may be uses their mobility, and now you can't catch them. But if you wait for them to use their mobility, and then you counter it with yours, then you got yourself a fight that you can win.
True. Wait till Gideon teleports and then leap on him, for example.
Yeah. But the big point of this one was pinging to attack. Let your teammates know what you're gonna do. The more you ping as the jungler, the more the rest of the map knows how to help you.
Roger.
And you got to be mindful too. Like as a jungler, a lot of times you're going to be in the jungle farming, just like chilling in your own little zone. You see what's going on in the map a lot more than the people that are in the middle of a fight. So if you see if you see
time in between.
Yeah, like you could literally just be like the communication for your team as a jungler. You can help control the match. Be like, hey, careful left lane, defend left lane, careful right lane,
You're
retreat.
constantly looking at the map to see who you can get.
Exactly, and you can also use it as defensive intelligence. You were gonna ask something?
Can I use the bathroom?
You're good, homie. Do your thing.
BRB.
You're good, homie. Hey, he's back. No, you're good. You're good. So really quick,
Where did we leave off?
we're talking about the just opinions or rotations, and just before we go forward on it here, would you say that like it's comfortable for you to use the pinging? Like, are you used to it? Is it something that you're still learning?
The actual like where to find each command, I'm still like it's just time, just getting used to wherever the right word is that you want to use, or and stuff like that. So sometimes, like obviously when you want to like say attack or something like that, it's easy because it's there, you know what I mean? But like sometimes you want to say retreat, and I get lost in it and stuff. So
yeah, I'll tell you this, one thing that makes it easy to navigate, and Kick actually does this a lot. Like instead of saying careful right lane retreat, you'll see Kick just says defend right lane. Because like you said, the attack and defend are easy because they're right fucking there, right? Yeah. And it's just one of those things that by him saying defend right lane, even though it's not a direct message, at least it's still a message telling them, hey, play defensively. You get what I'm saying there? Like how, like at like while you still get used to it, and there's just certain key ones that you're probably gonna use the most. For example, like attack, defend, be right back, and retreat. I would say are the ones that get used the most. The rest you'll just get used to. Like once you find out, hitting like going to the right twice is retreat, going to the left twice is be right back.
Okay.
Like once you learn little things like that, you'll get used to it, and it'll definitely improve your jungle gameplay tenfold because you're able to communicate better and you're able to execute everything more as a team. Now, if you have the luxury of talking to your team, you can say that out loud, but I would still get used to doing these visual commands because even though we're talking, like I'm a great example of that. When you're playing with me, I talk my ass off about 20 million different fucking subjects. The average person just, kind of chitter chatters in between. Sometimes just like that visual cue on the screen that says attack mid lane is good in case your team isn't paying attention. You know what I mean?
Yes.
All right. Anything you
Or
want to
they're
add,
caught
Kid?
up in like their own little conversation.
Exactly.
Yeah, I find it a good habit to get into because I mean, if you're in a team with people on your mics and you audibly if you verbally say it and you ping it, that's a whole lot of accountability that you gave people a heads up for something.
Yeah, they can't
Just
say
if
you didn't let them know.
If you say retreat left, and then you ping retreat, defend left, and they don't, I mean, you gave them a lot. I mean, that's kind of like your conscience is clear. You gave them as much as you could.
It's like I gave you a warning, I gave you a ping, I gave you this, like, and you weren't there, but like, all right, that's it.
No.
But pinging is one of the best things I think to do to ensure the synergy of the team. I do it again here. Attack mid.
Now, this is an interesting clip, and this actually gets us into our next subject here. Which actually, go ahead and go over the next subject, because I know it's your thing. My bad.
This is the commitment level of a gank. So you'll have some ganks where it doesn't secure a kill, and you need to be able to identify when you should leave or you're gonna die.
Yes.
Right. So I ganked him twice, which rolls into the second part. But if you see this first gank, I see that I should disengage and I should stop trying to fight because it's not winnable at that time.
Yeah. He's still too high health for that.
Exactly, and he's under his tower.
Really good.
Yeah, he did when
pushed him into the tower.
You as well.
Yeah. So here he's like, I gotta get out.
You'll find yourself in situations where I might get the kill, I might not get the kill. You have to make the decision on when to back off or not, And if you back off, let them know you're backing off. But you have to make that call sometimes. And even if you don't get the kill, if you rotate to a lane and you take half of their health and they have to use their escape,
or they
lost health. Yeah, they're at a health disadvantage and a mana disadvantage because you rotated. So it makes the life of your mid laner, off laner, whoever may be, easier because you went over there and did some damage.
Okay.
So rolling into the next part is the same clip as reganking. A lot of people don't expect you to attack the same lane twice in a short succession.
A lot of people expect that if you failed,
the left and then the right.
You can't. Yeah. You like did like a circle and came back around them to fake them out or make them think that you were gone.
I mean, he clearly won the first gank. I tried to do it. He got me under tower. I took 2 tower shots. He won that fight, so he wasn't really worried about me coming back in.
Exactly. It's like he completely forgot about you for a second, and that was probably the mistake that he did right there.
And a lot of people will.
This is low on mana.
Yeah, a lot of people will forget because you got to be mindful, like especially ego wise. Like as soon as you're in if you're in a 2v1 and you successfully live, you're like, hey, bitch, y'all can't get me. And he's still in front of his tower. He thinks that he's safe. He just doesn't expect the whole wombo combo to come at him again. You get what I'm saying? So it really will come down to the fact that, sometimes you won't be able to successfully execute a gank. That's going to happen. Like Kick said, it will come down to the fact that oftentimes you're going to be helping the lane regardless. because you just offset it in your favor. But that doesn't mean that gank still isn't an option. That's why you always have to be extremely hyper aware of your surroundings. Is it still an option? Do I go back to jungling? Do I help another lane? You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah, I completely follow.
And as you play more and play with different champs, you'll start to understand the limits of that champion, of what you can do with them in particular. Steel has a whole lot of crowd control and a whole lot of re-engage potential, whereas Boris does not. If you use your sniff for movement speed as Boris, after that's up, you don't really have a whole lot to engage with.
Yeah, it's mostly just basic attacks with him. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah, so you just kind of have to, get a feel for the characters you play, and then just, test it out and learn the game a little bit. That'll come with time.
Yeah.
But learning when to avoid dying in a gank is big, because if I died there, I put my Countess at a huge disadvantage that she didn't ask for. She didn't ask me to attack that lane. She didn't ask me to come in there and die in that lane. And if I did that, now she is really behind. So you got to know when to disengage, and then a lot of people don't think about the re-engage.
And
once they see that they were beat, they kind of like run away and think about it again. But that was actually a kind of ballsy move right there to go back and finish him off.
It's probably worth mentioning because we talked a little bit about sometimes it's okay, like, depending on the situation, it's okay to die stealing an objective like Orb Prime, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I would personally say it's never a good trade if you gank and die in the process, regardless if it led to a kill, because at the end of the day, think of it this way. If you gank, well, yeah, I mean, just think of it this way. If you gank, you got a kill, but then you also died to the tower, for example, right? So now you got a kill, the enemy mid laner, in this example, has a kill. Well, the reason why that's bad is now the enemy mid laner is ahead to you compared to your mid laner because he has a kill. You get me? He got that extra gold, and he's now dead, so he was spending that extra gold that he just got at the store. He might come back with a bigger damage spike.
More gold.
He might come back with a bigger damage spike than your mid laner has. And even though you might have helped yourself, you might have set your mid laner behind. So that's why, like, you see,
they're not going to be happy.
Not at all. Like, you see right here,
yeah.
Like, he technically could have dove him and maybe even got the kill. But if he dies for it, it's kind of pointless because he's not helping his team as he should be. You get me? Yeah. That's why it was better to
get hit by their jungler.
Exactly.
That is true.
It leaves them exposed to their jungler because you can't help them anymore.
You're gonna have a salty
with the bounty system. With the bounty system of fault, the more kills you get without dying, the more you're worth whenever you die.
Yes.
So the more successful ganks that you get, the more important it is that you don't die during your gank.
Correct.
Roger that. Because all that you worked for is gonna go right back to them.
Exactly. And you're gonna put it all on one person, and it's gonna be a big power spike to whoever does kill you if you get those bounties added up.
And you definitely want to be careful that if you do die, who you give that to. For sure.
Yeah, because you definitely don't want to give it to the guy that's been farming
somebody that's already ahead. Yeah, somebody that's already ahead with a bounty like that will just fucking steamroll.
It's over.
Right? But let's say if you gank the duo,
I'm wrong, but there's infinite scaling, right? There's infinite scaling on the bounty system currently. So there's no cap on how much that scales to.
No. I do believe there is a cap after a certain amount as far as the bounty reward system and everything. Just so somebody isn't worth.
There is.
Like,
okay.
Yeah, I don't know the exact amount, but just so like that one individual isn't worth like too crazy much of an amount. You know what I mean? Like, you can't just kill somebody that's 10-0 and then be like, bam, there goes 6,000 gold. You know what I mean? Like, it's not that fucking crazy. I don't know
what the cap is. All I know is that I also run King, but I've had like 1,500 gold off of a kill before. I don't know what the cap is.
Yeah, you can. You can get a nice amount. Like, I've had matches where, let's say our team is behind, they haven't died in a while. You killed 3 of them out of nowhere just because of the right time, right abilities, or whatever, and be like, bam! Now I got like 4,000 gold to spend. I'm like, oh shit, let me go back. So it is always a good thing to be mindful of your situation, how much you're worth, and then considering if you're worth more. If you're like 4-0, you know if they kill you, they're gonna get quite a bit. That probably is gonna
Yeah.
give you almost an incentive to not overextend too much. You get what I'm saying? Like
Yeah, like to
like
play it careful
yeah, don't
and
invade their
cautious.
tower. Just kind of keep doing what you're doing. Just play it safe because if you die, you're not helping your team.
That's
You need to stay alive
yeah,
as much as possible. But no, I'm
gotcha.
pretty sure that wraps it up. Like, just again, do you have any questions? Anything you want to clear up? Any doubts, tips, and tricks that you're curious
I
of?
since obviously I don't play jungle or a lot or any by that matter. Do you have like a card setup that I can grab from you so I can practice in games and stuff like
Yeah, for sure. I
ability
mean,
cards?
yeah, like I got several builds in my channel. If you go down to the Windu fault builds area, I got several different jungle
Okay.
builds in there and everything. But I will say
Point and
that
click the link, Windu.
I got
Point
you,
somewhere
bro.
and like click the link right here.
Nah, nah. YouTube doesn't work
Click
like that
right
nowadays.
here.
But but no, man. Like the thing is gonna be as you get more experience, you're gonna learn what the art of counter building is. Like for example, if they are doing a lot of ability damage to you, you're gonna start building energy armor. If they're doing a lot of basic attack damage, like their ADC, you're gonna start building basic armor, stuff like that. But I do have generalized builds that do help you progress as far as armor. Like I have tanky builds that allow you to be as tanky as possible while you're still getting used to mechanics, while you're still getting used to the actual game. Because one of the best things you can do in a MOBA when you're learning is build tanky, because it's a lot more
That was my next question.
forgiving.
That was my next question. Yep.
Yeah, it's a lot more forgiving because if you build damage, that just means you're squishier. You do more damage, but you're squishier.
You're weaker.
Yeah, and when you're squishier, that means you gotta be more aware of your positioning. You gotta be more aware of your decision making. And if you're an individual that's learning a MOBA, that's a lot to put on your plate and a lot to balance. When you're trying to figure out the smite, you're trying to figure out the rotations, when to go in, when and all that. You get me? So
Yes.
being on the tankier side is usually
It's
the
better
safest way to go as far
for
as
the
learning a
beginners.
MOBA.
Yeah.
And the more you get used to it, then from there you could be like, all right, take this one item out, put this one damage item in. And that's the only thing I changed to the build. But now I do a little bit more damage. Now that I'm getting used to doing more damage, next time I play, all right, now I'm taking 2 items out. I got 4 tank, 2 damage. Now I'm a bruiser. Now I got a little bit more of a balanced build. You feel me? And so on and so forth. From there, you'll get on to the point where it's like, hey, you know what? I'm super far ahead. I don't even need to build tank right now because these guys aren't doing shit to me. Let me put a damage card and make myself even harder. I make myself even more of a presence, easier to kill people when I gank. And again, those are things that are going to come with time. But I'll make sure that I leave a link not only in the description of the video, but I'll send it to you, of a good balanced build that's going to allow you to jungle successfully and gank successfully while still being incredibly tanky and doing a decent amount of damage output. Any other questions?
Gotcha. You guys gonna
Nah.
play?
Yeah, no, we're gonna play here in a bit. But
I'll also end with even if you're not really interested in being a jungle main, understanding and learning how to play the jungle will help you be a better laner, because you're going to be in the mind of the people that you're fighting, essentially, right? You're going to know at 2 minutes and 30 seconds he's got his red buff, he's looking for a kill, maybe I shouldn't push all the way up to their T1. Just getting a little bit of experience in other roles will help you in whatever role that you decide to be a main in.
and in a perfect world, you get the role you want. But in a normal world, you're gonna get somebody that says, "Oh, I'm first pick. I'm Gideon. You're no longer mid," and you're like, "Fuck, what do I play?" And then you're stuck playing jungler, and you're not used to playing jungler. Now you got you're facing an uphill battle, and oftentimes that's gonna happen a lot. That's why you see a lot of like the top tier players. They're well versed in every single role, and they know multiple characters within the role, because you have to be able to have that diversity as a player in order to successfully, not only, like he said, not only just do well in your role, like as a mid laner, like knowing how the jungle works as a mid laner is huge, because you're surrounded by jungle at all sides. You're arguably bait 101 when it comes to the jungler in the mid lane. So knowing how the jungle works, the mindset, the timers, be like, hey, he got his red buff as soon as it started. So he's going to gank now. His red buff is probably going to come up at the same time that my team's red buff is going to come up. Because, you know, both teams start with their red buff, right?
Yeah.
So, like, our mid lane...
What's the cooldown on those red buffs?
Oh, Lord.
Do
What's
you
that
see
timer?
do you see the circle with
On the mini-map?
another
With the
circle
line?
going around it?
Yeah.
When that line finishes, your red buff's up. So for the first red buff spawn, generally, both teams' red
pretty
buffs are
unsync.
going to spawn at the same time.
So you can already tell, like, hey, if my team's red buff is up, that means their jungle probably has their red buff. So I got to be careful. At least in the beginning. From then on, it gets a little bit trickier because it all depends if they grab the red buff or not. But as far as the first 2 red buffs, those are pretty in sync for the beginning of the match.
Now, when you're farming, you want to start on your side of the jungle and then invade into their jungle, right? After...
That's going to depend on play style and situation. Because, like Kick will tell you, Kick is a very defensive player. He will clear his red side jungle, right? He goes for a gank, and he goes into the blue side jungle, usually. Like, he keeps on farming on his side because, like we said, if he has kills, he's worth more money. He doesn't want to die, and getting caught on their half of the map is an easier way to die because you have so far to go to your half or to your tower. You feel me?
Yes.
So
in Fault's current state, I think looking for good ganks gives more reward than taking
counter invading.
Okay.
Yeah,
at this current state, making this video
at least right now.
Time.
Yeah, at least right now, kills are worth more for sure. So it definitely pays to play a little bit more passive and just go for the kills. Because grabbing an extra jungle camper too is not going to set you ahead like crazy. You know what I'm saying?
It's the kills and the ganks that are gonna get you up there.
Yeah, even though
seeing the speed of which we can gank with the junglers, you may have more desire to start with your mobility at level 2 rather than getting your second rock as Gideon.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Getting your mobility before level 3 might sometimes save you from getting ganked early on. You know, early level 1, 2, 3, you probably shouldn't be using all of your mana anyway. But having your escape could keep you alive and prevent you from falling behind.
Yeah. Or honestly, even if you choose not to, just being mindful that that jungle gank is a very high possibility within those first couple minutes. It's one of those things that, hey, maybe I didn't go with my mobility, but now I'm going to play extremely passive. I'm going to stay on my half. I'm going to stay on top of my stairs. Just let them push up to me because I know the jungle's right around the corner. I can feel it. I can smell it. He's around here. You know what I mean? But yeah.
I smell you.
But yeah, I mean, that was basically it. Just a quick little thank you for everybody that actually watched the video to this length. I think it's about like 20% of people that actually watch the video get a chance to actually finish the whole thing. So we just appreciate it. If anything, we're going to be releasing a lot more of these videos. First, we're doing the beginner series of every single role, and then we're going to go into intermediate strategies and then advanced strategies and stuff like that. And as the game progresses, as like the players that we're coaching also progress, we're going to lead them through this. So disciple along with like the individuals that you see are kind of like the few that we have chosen in order to help guide them through the skill ladder, so to speak, to help them get here towards the end and actually, and help them improve a little bit. But honestly, yeah, we'll just keep it simple for the next video.
Let us know what you want to see next, dude. Which lane? What do we have left? Mid lane or off lane?
Ooh,
that's right. Which one? He said that mid lane. They bring me back. Oh man. Peace.